everyone. Welcome to another Awakening BT contemplation. As always, before we start, I would like to take a moment to invite you to grab one of your favorite drinks, tea or coffee, so you can join me in this contemplation about one of my favorite things in life. We will talk about books, and I will reveal the secrets about my process, which is slow, deep, and engaging. And in the end, I would like to extend you an invitation about how sometimes reading less books can lead to more knowledge and wisdom. Well, I think in today's world, we are so obsessed with numbers. Especially in the beginning of the year, you see this big and ambitious goals. Like, I would like to read 100 books this year, and we showcase how many books we read. And sometimes we take pride in the number of books we consume as if that is the only criteria for intelligence or acquisition of knowledge, or even better, acquisition of wisdom. When I was growing up, I was in that realm. I was a book lover. I always loved books, and I was a lot more, I would say, impatient, and I wanted to consume all the knowledge of the world when I was younger. So when I went to bookstores, I was seeing so many books about how to read fast. When I was looking into my old library, I was able to find some of them in that old library of mine, because I practiced reading faster books. I still remember some of the techniques, like following with finger or not following or not reading with your voice behind, so making the process slower. But long story short, I think, especially in the Western culture, we have such a strong focus around the total number of books we read, how fast we read. And that has dramatically changed in my life, especially over the last decade. What has defined the meaning for me is not the total number of books I read, but how deep wisdom I can embody in me after reading that book. So it's not only about an book being an intellectual exercise, it's book extending me an invitation for inviting more of its wisdom into my life. So just to open more space for that wisdom to come into my life, I am also taking a book like a journey. So it's not like a mountain to climb, like tick in the box, one more book. And I read like 5 books this week. It's more of a journey that invites me to its own depth. And I take it step by step every day. So I consciously dedicate a lot of time and I open space in my life for reading books. But beyond that, a book can take its time. I just read it and I consciously stop at particular moments in the day after consuming a book or digesting a book sometimes, so I can let its wisdom to sink in. And after that, I also give some time between reading books for that knowledge, that wisdom to really come into my life in a more practical way and to reveal its secrets over time. So in today's world, I am reading books in 2 different ways. In the old world, I used to very much enjoy reading books in the physical form, which is still my preferred option. But given the practicality for search on the digital side, and given my personal lifestyle, which is semi-nomadic, I travel a lot. I split my time between countries. So it was not that easy for me to bring my physical books with me. So as an extension of that lifestyle, I started adapting reading digital books more in my life. But coming back to the process, slow reading process, I managed to find ways of dancing between 2 different formats, but still finding a way for extracting deep knowledge from it and use it as an opportunity for me to learn. So here is how I read books. So if I am reading a book in the digital form, Kindle has an amazing functionality, like highlight functionality, which allows me to highlight key sections that speaks to my heart. And at the end of each chapter, I can just scroll through that and At the end of each chapter, I also take a physical notebook and record those highlights. So what I will show here is, if I can actually, what I wrote, maybe showing like this. This is the highlights from the books I read last year. So although the book is in the digital form, I use highlight functionality as a way to extract key information. And from there, I take that key information and write it physically in a notebook. And in that writing process, I learn a lot. And there are so much research about the magics of writing. So it's an essential part of integrating information and embedding the information from that mind space to a physical space too. So I'm opening more space in my life, not only an intellectual reading exercise, but also a physical writing exercise. Helps me to bring that knowledge from more of a heart mind space to more of a physical embodiment space. Even that physical exercise really gives me more opportunities to sit with that information, think about that information, feel that information, and create more space in my life for that information to exist. And if the flow of experience is the other way, which means if I am reading a book in the physical terms, like this one, I also have lots of highlights. Then what I do is at the end of each chapter, I take those highlights and turn them into, once again, either physical experience or sometimes digital ones if I would like to have the functionality of search. So I can just open a Word document or a Google document and record some of the highlights, which can also help me over the longer term to have the functionality of search. So I have this digital version either in the form of highlights or in the form of physical copies turned into digital highlights, which enables me to have the search functionality in case I would like to find some wisdom over the long term. But in both of the processes, this dual replication really enables me to digest more of the information so I can recall, so I also have enough time to think about it, to integrate some of its wisdom with practical real life examples in my life. This is really like maybe slowing the process in a way to open more immersion in the experience. And the more that I do that, the more I realize I'm actually getting more and more wisdom. When I was reading maybe 100 books in a year, I was not able to recall that wisdom at the end of the year. Or if you ask me, what were some of the highlights that helped me to improve my life? I'm not so sure whether I had many examples because they were like, quick, next book, next book. But when I slowed down and when I developed this meticulous process that really helps me to integrate more of the knowledge into the wisdom in my life, I can leave the books more. So I don't even need to recall them. They are in me. I'm turning them into the way that I live life by opening more space, by creating more space with writing, with contemplating, and bringing more of their wisdom into my life. And another trick I have is, again, not only increasing the number of new books I read, but rereading the ones that touched me deeply. In another video contemplation series, I shared the top 3 books, or the ones that are at the top, that I love reading and I love gifting, like The Glass Bead Game, like The Little Prince. And these are the books that I reread again and again. Maybe this one from one of my favorite poets, John O'Donohue, Beauty, The Invisible Embrace. Such a poetic book, so timeless. And almost every year, I take the journey of reading this one again. And each time, I find a different wisdom in it. Because each year, I'm also a different person. Also, there is so timeless wisdom in it that sometimes these type of books that are revealing the timeless stories, they are inviting us to reconnect with them over time. One-time consumption might not be enough. So I just want to share this tip and trick too, and maybe invite you to ask, what are the books in your life that you think you would like to read more again? And can you open more space for their existence in your life instead of always reading new ones? What are the top 3 books that you would like to reread every year? This might be a different way of approaching reading books, but it might be also a wiser way of inviting more of their wisdom into our lives. Well, with that, I would like to thank you for joining me in this quick and short contemplation. And if you would like to join me in the comments by sharing what are some of the books that you would like to reread so we can get some inspiration from each other, that would make me really, really happy. As always, remember your beauty, remember that you are beautiful, and awaken more of it internally first so we can co-create more of it externally out in the world. Thank you, everyone.